I really like animals that are unusual. To be honest, I like all animals. I met a panda for the first time recently and I became obsessed with them for a few months, but I really enjoy anything that's a bit strange, and amphibians have, I guess, drawn me towards them because they are very unusual and people don't really know a lot about them, and they don't focus on them very much in documentaries or wildlife writing. And I've always thought that they're one of the hidden treasures of the natural world. I think they're really beautiful, and the things that they do are extremely strange. They're like little aliens, and the more you find out about them, the more you realise that they're actually a lot more interesting than some of the species that get filmed all the time. So I've just enjoyed basically entering their world. Amphibians are generally typified by the idea of, you've got a frog in a pond on a lily pad, but actually amphibians come in many different forms. They eat a lot of things like slugs and insects and all of the common pests that we have that affect our crops. They basically make the world more habitable for us. In addition to that, their skin produces secretions which contain pharmaceutically very interesting products that can be used to treat cancer, HIV. There's a painkiller that was actually found in the skin of a frog that's about 100 times more powerful than morphine and has no addictive side effects. So there are things that you find in the skin of frogs that you wouldn't ever believe were there, but obviously with each new amphibian that goes extinct we're losing these things. And added to that, people eat amphibians, they keep them as pets, and they're really beautiful creatures, and I think I'm very privileged to share my world and my experiences with them, and I wish everyone else felt the same. So amphibians are very threatened at the moment because of things like climate change, diseases, pollution, habitat destruction. The fact that we are destroying so much habitat for other species, and we are polluting so many environments where many species would have once thrived, that we're basically tightening the hold on natural areas where species can survive. And amphibians are particularly sensitive because they tend to interact with more parts of the environment. For example, they might reproduce in water but then live on land, plus their eggs don't have particularly strong membranes surrounding them, so they're very sensitive to things like increased UV levels. So on the whole, amphibians are considered to be the canary in the coal mine for future environmental change, and they are very good indicators of when something bad is happening to an environment. Unfortunately, the disease issue is particularly bad for amphibians because they're affected by something called the chytrid fungus, which causes a disease called chytridiomycosis. Now this affects the skin of a frog or the skin of an amphibian, and this is very important for amphibians because they actually breathe through their skin a lot of the time, and they also drink through their skin. So anything that affects the sensitive outer layers of the skin can cause devastating effects on the body of the frog. So there are some species that are completely being driven to extinction by this disease, and although they are fantastic survivors that have an illustrious history of about 365 million years of truly fascinating evolution, they are currently coming up against challenges that they have probably never encountered before in their whole evolutionary history, and it is driving them and many other things extinct.